Thank you so much for joining us today. I'm really grateful that you came and decided to spend some time with Tina and myself. Tina Angeli is here with us tonight to really talk, or today, or whenever you're watching this, to talk to us and inform us about her near-death experience or her NDE. She has written a book, We Are Angels. She has a website, weareangels.net, so NET. Make sure you check that out. Go there. She has a labyrinth in Connecticut. So if you're around Connecticut or going towards Connecticut at some point, definitely check out the labyrinth. She's also a co-facilitator for a near-death experience support group in Connecticut. So she is well versed in helping and assisting, and she's also, I mean, doesn't that stop there? She is also a psychic medium reader. So I make sure you can book with her if you are interested. Go to her website, check out her book, and I'm gonna be mostly not talking during this because Tina has a lot to say. So Tina, thank you so much for joining me. I really am quite honored you're here.
Thank you very much for the invitation. I really, truly, I was looking forward to it. Thank you.
Wonderful. So I'm just start off from the beginning. How did your NDE come about? What happened coming up into the NDE?
Okay, so I've had three. I learned later that my first one was actually what's called, the term that IANS uses is a life transforming experience.
Uh-huh.
And I was only 2 years old at that time, and that's when my sister died, and there was a lot of abusive behavior with my parents.
Mhm.
I felt very abandoned, and I have all the details in the book. But that's when I started to see, right after my sister died, and because I felt so alone and abandoned, I began to see, I'm not sure exactly how long after she passed, but I began to see this, what I called my beautiful lady. Now, I was 2 years old, and she would just come into the room and float around and sometimes play peekaboo with me. But I remember so vividly the soles of her feet, because she didn't have any shoes on. So the
Wow.
soles of her feet, I would fall asleep by the soles of her feet, and she would just float around with this veil-like outfit. She did not have any wings. Not that I would have known that angels had wings at the time, but she had a veil-like outfit, beautiful eyes and hair. And every single night I looked forward to that.
Oh.
Well, so years, did you have a question?
No, no, no. I was just thinking that's quite wonderful. And I'm sorry, my dog started barking, so I apologize. I'm preemptively
Okay,
apologizing.
I didn't hear that. Anyway, so what was interesting is that I didn't think that was unusual. I was just grateful that I would have a beautiful lady visit me every night. I looked so forward to that. And then when I got to be between the age of 7 or 8 years old, I started to not feel comfortable with the idea of being, it felt like I was different. I felt like not everybody did that. And so I didn't want to be different. I didn't want to be abandoned and different. And so I said, I don't want to deal with this anymore. And automatically, no more visits. And I learned just a couple of years before I finished my book that the ego sets into the physical body of humans at the age of between 7 and 8 years old.
Uh-huh.
And that's why I understood. That's why I was, I was questioning this. Because prior to that, I just enjoyed the visits. I didn't question anything. I thought it was a normal thing for people to be floating around with shoeless.
Right.
And so what was interesting is that I would get uh, this all happened, by the way, in Italy. I was born in Italy,
Hmm.
and I came to this country when I was 14 years old. So through the years, I would get little thoughts of this one entity kind of wanting to communicate with me, like little nudges, which I call spiritual 2x4s now.
Spiritual.
And
Okay.
so I didn't want to have anything to do with it. So then about 26 years ago, I was going through some stress with my parents and all that, and I was kind of being really feeling sorry for myself, basically. And I kept saying, oh, I know that angels exist. Other people have angels, and I know that the size, their size, because I had heard a program the night before on TV that depending on the work that we need to do, that's the size. It's not really about the size, but it was about the energy, the amount of energy that they give. They're big, and some are small. I said, I'll bet mine are not big because my work isn't important. It was just one of those things where I really felt sorry for myself. So I'm driving down into my property. I live in a country. Drove into the property and I parked, and the lights were not on, and my kids didn't leave the lights on, and I was struggling to find the keys in my purse. And just as I was doing that, I heard this voice, and it said, turn around, but it felt like it was coming from everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm turning in the dark and everywhere, and there it was in the middle of my property is this big garage, and it's 24 by 40, and it's a double decker gambrel roof, if you can imagine that size. Well, what I saw when I turned there, it was this on the other side, on the right, in the back right side of the garage, was this huge angel.
Mm.
One wing was stretched all the way up to the north side of the property, and the other one was stretched to the south. And I could see the wing was right, it kind of over, it was right over the street.
Mm. Wow.
And all I could say was, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. That's all I kept saying, like a broken record. And so then I heard the voice again. It says, is this big enough for you? Okay, talking about humor. And then later I channeled her. I wanted to know who she was, and she told me that her name was Naomi, and she was the one that used to come and visit me when I was a child in
Mm.
Italy. And
Wow.
her message was that I needed to just follow the gut feelings and not to be afraid of this work because I had chosen this. This is what part of my contract. And she was there to help me with it. And
Okay.
it was important for me to just trust and allow to be
Right.
used as an instrument. That was and it just set so perfect in my gut. It just felt right. So that's why I say that was a pivotal time for me, because that's when I realized that that's what she said, the information doesn't come from you, it comes through you, dear.
Yeah.
You're just an instrument. Okay, so that was very important for me to hear that. Definitely I started to trust that, and I started to do some journal,
Yeah.
communicating with my guides, because I knew that probably I had just more than one. But she told me that she was my personal guide, my personal angel, that she and I knew each other even before Earth time.
Nice.
That's what she said. And so when I started, it was funny because when I started to do the journaling, I felt like, oh my God, I wasted so much time.
Oh.
So I wanted to kind of speed up the process. So I said, what, one time I asked in the journal, what do I need to do to for my journey to kind of continue, finally do my journey work? And all of a sudden I heard, which didn't make any sense to me right then and there, get yourself a step stool. I said, what? He says, well, you're going to be doing lots of speaking engagements in bigger audiences. This was before I went to speak at Edgar Casey Place. But anyway, so she said, because the podiums are too tall for you.
Uh,
I'm under 5 feet tall. Anyway, so I said, I knew that it was for me to understand that I didn't need to be that serious, to just trust the process.
mhm.
So that's part of my first one, which I learned later by talking to some researchers at the IANS, that what I had was considered a life transforming NDE. That's for lack of better words.
Mhm.
Okay, so that was my first one.
Do you remember any part of that when you crossed over?
Well, that's why it's called life transforming near death
Oh,
experience, because I didn't stop breathing. It was just a life transforming
oh,
event.
okay, okay,
Okay.
okay.
All right. So then my second near death experience was when my children, I was still married then, and my children, my two daughters were very young. I was in my mid 20s, and we went to a man-made lake. Now, knowing that I never learned how to swim,
Mhm.
I was very careful, being very careful and not going into the water, but aware of the fact that my kids were in there. They were swimming like fishes. But, well, at one point, I slipped on something underneath. There was a rock or something. I slipped and I couldn't get up. The harder I try to get up, the further I will go in. And I started, I was swallowing water, and I started to really, my chest was breathing, was hurting because of the water. And all of a sudden I heard or felt something that sounded like a snap,
Mhm.
when you snap your finger, and no more pain. The pain just stopped. Even though I was still in the water, I was still swallowing water, no pain. All I could see was this like a line of um, pictures, like a slideshow in the old days, the
Right.
slideshow. And it was above my head, but I could see it. And all I could see was people in these pictures. Some I didn't recognize, some I did, some, and then I learned later that some were past lives and some were future lives. But every time I didn't understand what was going on, and I guess whoever was with me, guiding me at the time, understood that whenever I was confused, I would hear a snap again, and the clarity would step in. I understood that
Oh,
my present husband at the time was we were together in previous lifetimes, and it was very abusive kind of a situation. And actually, in some of those lifetimes, kind of same area where we were both born in Italy.
hmm.
But I multiple times I died at his hands from abuse.
Oh, I'm
Okay,
so sorry.
so I saw that, no emotions, anything. I just had the clarity that that happened, and I also saw what was going on in the present lifetime, and then I also saw how things would be getting worse for me by staying with him.
Mm.
I saw it all, and I don't think that lasted too long, because then all of a sudden I got pulled out from the water by the friend that we were with. Uh, but what was interesting is that I also felt very strongly that not only was I being shown all uh, this information, but I also felt like something was filling me, some energy of strength I was being filled with, to be able to deal with what was to happen if I chose to not stay in that abusive situation.
Right.
I didn't do it right away. I just kind of was focused. I was thinking, when is the right time? Things got worse, and then finally I had I had to do that. And but what gave me the strength, I have to say, is the fact that I didn't want my two daughters to think that that was the way men were supposed to be treating women.
Mm-hmm.
That gave me the extra strength. And so I went through it. And of course, again, it's, and that's considered, I was told that that's considered a life review when you have that type of near-death experience.
Mm-hmm.
Because I know that I wasn't alive when I was swallowing all that water, and all of a
Right.
sudden, no pain. Someone was holding me in limbo to be able to see all that. Then when I was
Absolutely.
pulled out of water, I was coughing up water, and my chest was hurting like you wouldn't believe, and the kids were all upset. And my ex, who was there, was very sarcastic on by saying that, that our friends should have just left me there to die. Sarcasm, in front of the children. But anyway, so that was my second near-death experience.
Okay.
Okay, now, do you have questions on that?
No, no, no. I'm all ears.
Okay, so the third one happened in 2012, January 5th, 2012. It was a very serious car accident. I got hit by an SUV, and my car was a Hyundai Accent.
Oh
So
my
you can
goodness.
imagine.
That's a very small car.
Yeah, I call that chapter in my book "The Miracle Car Crash,"
Yeah.
because that's exactly what it felt like. There is no way that I should have been still alive. I had the black and blue marks all over the place, but there were no broken bones or anything, which miracle car crash.
Wow.
And so while I was, what happened was I got hit by the car and by the SUV. And then as the car was spinning, I actually heard a sound that went like a suction coming out of my body. And it
Mm-hmm.
was my soul. My
Oh.
soul was coming out of my, and I found myself looking down from this area. I would call it a room, but there were no, the walls were made out of this most incredible and loving white light.
Mm.
And it was a space, an area. Now, in this space, my soul was there, and I was looking straight out at this beautiful, ornate table desk that was like in a half moon shape.
Okay.
Behind this beautiful carved table were 9 entities. I actually found myself, I don't know why I thought originally they were 7, but then I counted them. I said there were 9. And I instinctively, I knew that the one in the middle was the one that made the decisions. So
Okay.
even though I knew that the other 8 were there to, I felt like I was being embraced by this most incredible white light, even though I was here and the table was there. So there was a distance, but from that viewpoint, there wasn't. I could tell that they were just keeping me in their love, embraced by that. But the one in the middle, I was so passionate by saying, no, I'm not ready to go. It might have been, by thinking about it afterwards, it might have been like an area where it's like a library or some place where there are decision makers there. But I did learn later who they were. All right. So I was saying, no, I have too many things to do still on the earth. There's no way I can go. I cannot go. And I knew right then and there, I knew all the things that I needed to do. I didn't come back with all that knowledge though.
Mm.
I knew what I said, and I knew because I could see more than I brought back with me. So I said, no, I can't. And they wore dark brown capes.
Okay.
And I knew instinctively, I knew that the reason why they were wearing these capes, it was for my benefit. Otherwise, I wouldn't have known that there were 9 of them. Apparently, the number was important for me to know,
Okay.
because otherwise it would have been just this one big blob of white light.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so the faces, the the part where the face should have been, it was just white light.
Oh, okay.
Okay. So, but you know, there were definitely entities with these white capes. And actually, an artist, my co-facilitator, the guy that I do co-facilitating with, he's an artist, and he volunteered to actually create that vision. So he,
Nice.
in the chapter about my miracle car crash, we have a picture of the 9 entities and with me in front of them communicating. So, you know, visuals are important, right? So,
Okay.
and so at that time, I was still in the middle of wanting to write this book. This book took 10 years. Some of the things that I had not even happened yet. And so here I am sitting, okay, so now I had my third NDE. I got to finish this book, right?
Okay, wait, hold on 1 second. So you did, how did you have a conversation? Do you remember having conversations with any of the entities, or you just said no and then they were like, okay, you can go back?
Yeah. Okay. Boom. I found myself back into my body again. Another, like a sound of suction from my soul got back into my car.
Uh-huh.
And by then, somebody had called the cops, somebody had called the ambulance and all that. I didn't even want to go to the hospital. I don't know why, but and so finally I did go, and they took all the tests and everything. But I knew that something more had happened while I was up there. It just didn't come back. But what I did was I went for a life to a therapist who took me back to that time and space.
Oh, you were regressed by a therapist.
Yes.
Hypnosis.
Yeah, is a spiritual person that does things differently than a psychiatrist.
Okay.
Okay, we went directly to the time, January 5th. And what happened, I did get more information, what they, they did say. They said more, basically, they kept repeating something about how important love was, and it was for me to just remember that and not be concerned about what people said about your sessions. Just give the information as it comes to you. It almost felt like it was part of whatever Naomi had given me. It was like a continuation of that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And so that was interesting. And so here I am sitting at the computer and writing this thing, wanting to write this thing, and nothing was coming out. One day, Michael, my husband, was working, and I was in the house all by myself, and I felt them. I felt that these entities came in very gently. You know, I wasn't afraid or anything. They just came in, and I'm thinking, well, what do I have to say now? And so they very gently they said, the book is going to be very helpful to people that are contemplating suicide.
Oh.
Poof, they were gone. That was it. They didn't give me a chance to ask more questions. So
they knew.
So here I'm saying, oh questions. My God, I better write this book. How could I not? You know?
Right.
And so lots of frustration. But then the last year or so before it finally was out of me, which felt like the most incredible purge once it was all out of me. I knew that it needed help with the, grammatical stuff and all that, which was done. And it was interesting because I had help from the other side. I have this guy that's been with me. He's from China. He was from China, the Ming Dynasty, he said, and he was a scribe. And he says, dear, all you have to do is just ask me. I can help you with that. So there was a channel part in the book about what he had to say. So I finally asked for his help. And then others came through with help from both sides, here or there. People
Right.
actually volunteered, because part of me was saying, was I nuts to volunteer for this book? English is not even my primary language.
Right.
And so finally it was great when I was able to finally finish it and did self. The reason why I did self-publishing is because I didn't want the energy of the way I told my story to be changed.
Mm-hmm.
I had already, years earlier, I had been given the vision of what the book was supposed to look like, even the formatting,
Mm-hmm.
12 chapters, and the way it was supposed to be formatted. So I knew ahead of time. It felt like the book was alive even before it came, as an earth thing.
Right.
Yeah. So now it's before COVID, I would do speaking engagements and all that, and of course to market my book, libraries and different events. I even did one that it was called, I don't know where that came from, Dinner with the Angels.
Uh-huh.
So I did messages to people that were in the audience, and then of course some bought books. But now with this COVID situation, it's quite challenging. But I'm sorry that I didn't send it to you previously. But last year, a month after we learned about this, the COVID, how active the COVID was here, I stopped doing I would do groups here at my home once a
Mm-hmm.
month for the last 17 years. Channel
Wow.
a session
Wow.
where people just gathered and we do meditation and all that. Well,
Right.
as of last March, I stopped. But the month after, in April, I did I just sat and I asked some of the regulars to just sit with me remotely and see if I got anything I would share with them. And so I did. I have a one-page channel session that I can send to you if you wish.
Oh, absolutely. I'd love to see it.
It's basically all about the COVID situation. It's quite interesting. It feels like there's energy, like hidden in the within the words. Someone who was really really afraid of the dying from COVID, I said, "Let me send you this, okay?" Says, "Sure, send it to me." Says, "My God, Tina," says, you just took my fear away." And I don't
Nice.
know how, but anyway, so just follow the gut. And the many times when I follow the gut and when I follow what I'm supposed to do, I don't even know why until I get the feedback from people. Do
Yep.
you
Mm-hmm.
do you feel that way too?
Absolutely. Yep.
Yeah. So I don't know what else I can add. What do you have questions?
Well, it's really interesting. So why don't you talk a little bit about your book cover and how that came to be? Because I don't have your book right next to me. Do you have a copy?
Um,
At least we can show people what the cover
yeah.
is.
Can you wait a sec?
Yes, I can.
Thank you. Okay,
All
here
right.
it is. We
Nice.
we are angels, and that
And
again.
that was the
What?
go ahead.
The title was given to me by my granddaughter when she was 4 years old, and the title is "We Are Angels," and then below, again, by feeling, I needed to put more positive transformation through defining moments. Okay, so it's not just about my near-death experience, although I had three, but I even was guided to put a chapter in there about my how I do my work, because a lot of times
Oh,
people think that I don't know what they think. They think that people try to keep this as a secret. I mean, anybody can do this. It's all, what I understand is all you have to do is practice, practice, practice. Okay. Yes, we come on the earth with contracts to do certain work, but because we have free will, we can change those contracts anytime. And it's important to also follow our passions.
Yeah.
If we want to do something, well, why not? So that chapter in the book was important to me. So I get some, I don't know, suggestions, and I share what I do and all that. But all I can say about that, which is very important, is that people say, "How do you know that it doesn't? It's not my brain playing tricks at me." I said, if you have an impression in your mind, and you can't push it aside, you can't get rid of it. It's like a broken record.
Mm-hmm.
And to me, that's a psychic information
Yeah,
message.
absolutely.
Okay. And if it feels good in your gut, then that's it.
I like that.
All right.
Those I think are very wise words to live by. If it feels good in your
Yeah.
gut, then go with it.
So I've been doing this for many, many years. And some people ask me, well, where did you go to school? Well, I didn't. It's just that I practiced. I did the journal, and I talk to them many times. I get, hey, I'm human too, so I get tangled up in stuff that happens, and I talk to myself, saying, my God, and I hear Naomi say, dear, remember, this is all an illusion. Just go with the flow. And then I said, yeah, it's easy for you to say. You don't have to be here. And the patience that they have, it's just unbelievable. Now,
Yeah.
I know that Naomi's there for me. I also was introduced to, he came through when I was going through, excuse me, I gotta have some water. When I was going through some challenges, what came through for me was this American Indian, an American Indian man that came right up on my face, and I said, who are you? And he says, my name is Two Feathers. I said, well, that's a strange name. So I got up and I walked outside to go to the mailbox across the street. And right in the middle of my driveway, I saw two feathers about a foot apart from each other. I picked them up and I said, okay, I believe you. So now he and I have formed a relationship. Whenever I see a hawk, or I know that he's around, and that's when I know that something challenging is about to happen, that he's there to help. He's a shaman.
That's quite wonderful that you get a heads up.
Yeah.
That's nice.
At times, yeah.
Right.
Not too many surprises.
Yeah. So how do you feel? How has your NDEs, how have they shifted you as an individual, do you think?
Well, the main thing is that no longer have fear of death. Okay. And that's something that lots of people that have had near-death experience share. They're no longer, not that they're going to speed up the process, but the fear of death is no longer there. So that things shift, where what was important before is no longer important. And like, for example, in my case, just listening to people have normal conversations, I sit there twiddling my fingers and saying, well, this is certainly not deep enough for me to communicate about. It's, there is a depth of understanding that is not even close to any words that could be expressed. It's energy. Not all energy can be expressed in words. It's a deep understanding of everything. Something happens, whatever it is on TV, and I find myself using myself as an instrument and send healing energy to the area of need. I don't worry whether they're going to receive it or not. It's up to them, their soul, to be ready for that. But energy is never wasted.
Right.
Okay. Right. It either goes to someone close by who is open to receive, or it comes back to the original instrument.
Right. I love how you talked about your NDEs and how you communicated all of this to us. I'm wondering, what's the best way somebody could go purchase your book?
Okay, so through my website, the paper book has to be ordered through me, PayPal, and
Okay.
then I get the notice and I go to the post office and send. And the reason why we created the ebook format is because as it gets to be known, people from out of the country started to want it.
Right.
And so we created the ebooks. That way I don't have to send it out as a paper because it costs, outside of the US, it costs 3 times the price of the book.
Oh, geez.
But in the US, it only shipping media mail, it's only like $3. So
Yeah, right.
yeah.
I can understand that. Well, I'm wondering, did do any in any of your sessions or your group sessions that you're doing via Google Meet, have you what is it that you've heard about this time with COVID? If you don't mind sharing, I know that we didn't actually
No,
really
let
talk
me
about
let me
that.
think. The it's basically what I have heard, and this is just what I've heard, okay? It's important for people to use their own judgment. So it's similar to the situation where a new drug comes out into the market and they test it. But some people they give the sugar pill, and some people they give the
Mm-hmm.
the regular drug. And the one with the sugar pill gets the same results as the one with the pill. So
Mm-hmm.
that tells me that it's all about what you believe. If you believe that the COVID vaccine works, then it most definitely will. But if you believe that it's not going to make a difference, that you can receive that energetically rather than physically, then it's also going to work.
Mm-hmm.
So as far as the COVID situation, my God, it's global. What, when did you hear stuff like that? But it's because we as people, as humans, have gotten to be so used to running here, running there, doing, I mean, it's like machines almost. And so this is kind of slowed us down, stopped
Mm-hmm.
us in our tracks. One thing that being a cook myself, I don't understand that there's less time to do things, but yet people go out and buy fast foods rather than learning how to do food yourself at home, since there's not much to do. It's just that I kind of see the humor in things that people kind of react to this
Mm-hmm.
situation, the strangest thing. And it's not necessarily a judgment, it's just that I see how a lot of people are not getting what the message is, to slow down, enjoy the
Mm-hmm.
little things in life. And I think when I send you that channel material, you will understand.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, I look forward to having that. I think your NDEs are incredibly interesting and powerful, and I really like that these nine
Yeah, the 9 entities.
the nine.
They told me, I don't know, did you get to read my book?
I didn't get to read all of it. I'm
Okay.
sorry. I would love to know,
Well,
what did they tell you?
well, they it was basically about learning to be more comfortable in my own skin for
Mm,
my purpose, and to not be concerned about what other people think. Just give the information as it comes out, because many times people they argue and says, no, that's not, no, that's it, I don't know this person. A week passes and somebody calls me, Tina, yes, you were right about so and so, that was his name. And how did you know that? And I am here I am thinking, being trying to be polite, say, excuse me, who are you and what are you talking about? The information doesn't stay with me.
right. The information doesn't stay with you. Right.
Some of it does, but not everything, and it just goes through me.
Yep.
And sometimes it's frustrating because people want to learn this, but they think that there's an easy way out. It's just about practicing and being patient.
Mm-hmm.
Practice being patient, and that's how, because what happens is as we become comfortable with our own way of receiving the information, those that work with us, they also become comfortable with us being the instrument through which their information comes through. So it's
Right.
all about practice. But people, sometimes you explain things to people, but they don't want to hear. Some are I can tell who's ready to hear that and who is really committed to
Right.
learning more. So
That's
it's
wonderful.
I don't know if you had that kind of situation happen to you.
Well, it really just depends. You know, every session, every person in spirit is different. It's and that is one thing that I really do love about doing this is that
Yeah.
it's so fresh and new every time. So you know, you get to make friends with people who've crossed the other side, and you get them to tell you stuff to like help the people that are on this side, and it's just always an adventure as far as I'm concerned. And
Yeah.
so
I became aware a few years ago that I get the information, I receive the information in three different modalities. I see, I hear, and I feel.
mhm,
And that's how I give it. That's how I give it to the clients. I remember. I don't know why this keeps popping into my mind. There was this young woman who came to see me, and she said that her mom had passed away 2 years earlier, but she was really very worried that where she was. She didn't know if she had gone to
mm.
heaven, right?
Oh,
And
okay.
so I, tuned in, and she came through. She had the most incredible humor. So this poor woman was laughing and crying at the same time. She
Right.
showed me this this pain in my neck and throat and chest, and then she said, "Yeah, my mom died of heart failure." Anyway, so
Oh,
okay, so then it went away. That's how I was supposed to feel. That's why that was like a confirmation for her. And then
mhm.
she goes on and says, "I don't go to the cemetery as often as I feel so guilty about that, as often as I should do. Is she okay with that?" Her mom responded, say, "Honey, I follow you there."
Right, right, right.
Okay. So it's like, you know, people don't get it that the soul never dies. Consciousness is always alive. That's one thing about all, and that's the theme. One of the themes with the IANs is that we don't die, just we shed our body. That's it.
Yeah. That's so beautiful. And I want to thank you so much, Tina, for sharing your story with us tonight. I will make sure that all of the website that people can contact you and you know and you can get more of your word out. So that's fantastic. I hope you have a wonderful evening and a great weekend.
Thank you very much. And if you feel right about sharing also the information that I'm going to be sending to you about the COVID,
Okay.
please feel free to do so.
Okay. Thank you
Thank
so
you,
much,
Jenny.
Tina.
Thank you. I
Yeah,
appreciate you.
I
Take
appreciate you
care,
too.
honey.
Have a wonderful night.
You too. Bye bye now.
Bye-bye.